Ivan, every car is worthy of protection.
Exactly. I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick.
This is DIY Detail. And yes, be it a lowly Chevy Spark or a big Suburban or a supercar, they all deserve protection.
It's cool on YouTube, and we've done it to detail ridiculously expensive cars.
Exactly.
But why not show that you can give this the 2-stage polishing, the double coating, the stack, the best we could offer. We can lay it down on this paint, and I think you're gonna be amazed.
Exactly. With that, let's start. We're gonna be pre-treating. Now you notice there's a bit of water on the ground. We did an engine bay detail on this car because, hey, it deserves it. It's a high-priced Spark. You want to look at that video after we're done this one. It's in the description below.
So as we continue the detail, we'll go through some of our principles for cleaning. And what Ivan's doing here is all clean on the wheels and tires. We actually have a battery-powered compressor there, kind of a custom setup that Ivan has going on. So we'll wait until this is done. But we're gonna start with the wheels as we always do, and then we're gonna go ahead and treat the paint. Ivan, I forgot to even mention, we're in our new shop. We don't have a pressure washer set up. We're not going anything crazy fancy here. What was in your IK foamer there?
So 120 ounces of water, 8 ounces of all clean, and ½ an ounce of incredible suds to give it a little more dwell time. We can't do the foam rinse foam because we don't have a foam cannon. We have a foamer that goes on a garden hose, but honestly, it's not the best result. And if you're gonna do that, yes, it works, but this actually works a lot better. This is a former rental car, meaning that it wasn't exactly the best maintenance schedule they had. They wash them often. They usually wash with brushes. They leave them wet. There's water spots on it. It needs a lot of help, and we're gonna give it that help because now it's got a new life. It's out of the rental car fleet, and the person that bought it wants to have a really nice looking little car.
You'll see the scratches and swirls. There's a little B-roll for you. It gives you a sense of this paint's beat up. It's gonna benefit from a 2-stage polish.
Right, and we're not gonna go deep diving. We're not going to try to eliminate all the scratches on the vehicle, but we're gonna give it a lot of gloss. We're gonna amp up that gloss. As the all clean is finishing its job on the outside, we're gonna attack the wheels and then rinse this all off. If you're working in your driveway, you wanna make sure that it doesn't dry on the surface. In our case, in the DIY Detail garage, it's not a concern. It's humid, it's not exactly warm in here. As you can see, it's not exactly a new building. But we are running out of content, so we decided to come at it, do some videos, and then we'll do the renovations. Before we rinse these off, I'm gonna give them a little bit of extra help, some iron remover. Here you go, Nick.
Thank you.
Now at the back, we're probably not gonna have a lot of brake dust because this has high performance drum brakes on the rear.
You know it.
And yes, we may be poking a little bit of fun at the Spark, but they're actually a fun little car to drive. They're great for what they do. They're a nice little city car, very economical on fuel. As far as I'm concerned, this one is missing one key component, and that's a manual transmission, but it's not my car.
Yeah, if it had a stick shift, it would be really fun to drive. What's different with a garden hose? But fun.
Yeah, the garden hose, well, it's a lot quieter. You're not getting wet from blowback. Not that we have much with our IK pressure washer that we normally use because we have it tuned down. But it does use a little more water with a garden hose.
So a garden hose uses more water than a pressure washer?
Oh, definitely. Pressure washer compresses the water, or actually not compresses, but puts it under pressure, but you use a lot less of it.
I like that it's not spraying back at me when I rinse the wheels,
Yes, definitely.
especially with the iron remover on there. Now we're gonna be foaming this up again, right?
Actually, no,
Or
we're
just gonna rinse this wash.
We're gonna spray on rinseless wash. So we're done with foaming, but we're not done with rinsing because we have a 3-stage decontamination on this. We're doing, of course, a wash, so a contact wash. After the contact wash, we'll be using iron remover for iron decontamination and the perforated synthetic decontamination towel to make sure that we're getting all that iron from these high performance brakes off of here. And then we'll be going to water spot remover. As we mentioned, this is a formal rental car, and drying is really not one of the things they do frequently. They'll leave the car wet. If you've ever picked up a rental car at the airport, you'll know that sometimes you get the car and they just literally hose it off and off you drive. So from a detailer's perspective, we're cringing every time that happens, but it happens.
There's water spots all over the front chrome, the plastic.
Yeah, exactly.
Right over here on the bumper. So we'll take care of those as well.
Yep. So rinseless wash, we have it diluted 256:1 in our 2 buckets. The 1 bucket we're going to use for wash. The other one, since we're using iron remover, we'll use that one to re-soak our towels.
Okay, so just 1 bucket to wash.
Yeah. Well, actually 2, because there's 1 on the other side. And the roof here looks like a lake. You know, when you go out to the lake, the sun is just coming up at 6 o'clock in the morning and it's a nice, smooth, glassy surface. And that's what it looks like. There was no beading whatsoever on this roof.
I think this is gonna look awesome when we're done.
This is going to be the best looking Chevy Spark in the Midwest.
I think I'm excited about it because I've never detailed a car like this before. You know, just kind of a budget-friendly car that, you know, folks who hire you for detailing services usually have some disposable income. And I've detailed other cars, but I just think there's gonna be something flashy about a car like this looking as good as it's about to look.
Right, and when I had my shop, the customer that actually paid the most for a detail in our shop was an owner of a Chevy Spark.
No way.
Yeah, it was his first new car in his life and his last new car. The gentleman had retired and he wanted the best protection we could possibly do. So everything was ceramic coated on the car. Wheels off, door jams, trunk jam, you name it, the Chevy Spark got it. The interior was coated, everything.
What I love about the Legacy Sponge, 1 panel for 1 color, and you can use the other color for the next panel so you know where you've been.
Yeah, and in this case, the car had some salt accumulation on it, but not really dirty. If you have a gritty car, I like to start the panel with one side and then go back over it with the second side.
Even if you've pre-rinsed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a little extra safety measure. You can see some of the dirt we've taken off the vehicle. We just touch it to the bucket, bring it back up, sponge is clean again. That's a nice thing about the rinseless wash with the Legacy sponge. It's a great mixture. They are designed to work together. Amazingly enough, I can hear the contamination from here.
Well, that was the front plastic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did you get the whole hatch, or did I still do my side there?
The whole hatch is done.
Okay, I'll take care of the hood then.
And you can see the inefficiency we have by not having wheels on our buckets.
It's taking way too long.
But as the shop progresses, so will the equipment in the shop.
What I love about rinseless wash is you would just need to spray on maybe some ceramic gloss here, wipe your paint, and you'd be totally done. You don't need to do that final rinse at the end if you're just doing a maintenance wash. Of course, we're going for a deeper dive here, so we will be involving the hose because we really want to get this paint as clean, stripped of anything as possible before we coat. And
Right.
before we polish, really.
And I'm just doing a quick pass with the squeegee. It's not fun walking in water. And it's also a safety risk to have a slippery floor. So we'll get rid of the slipperiness on the floor. Just takes a couple seconds. Makes our lives a lot easier. Now, decontamination. That means the perforated synthetic decontamination towel And DIY detail, iron remover.
Perfect.
A towel, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Start with the roof, work our way down. If you're new to the channel, this towel is a marvel of science. No, seriously, it's a lot of fun. It's a safe way to decontaminate your paint. We're using a combination of lubrication. We're using the rinseless wash combined with the iron remover as lubrication. So we're not doing a separate clay step. And if you don't know what clay is, Nick?
Well, clay is an abrasive. Often you'll use a clay bar. Folks, it can be done that way. It's been done that way for a long time, but this actually isn't clay, and this doesn't necessitate polishing after you're done. Ivan, the perforations are not clay.
No. The synthetic surface is designed by us, for us. We're the only ones that have this particular mixture, and it's a super mild formulation, meaning that it can go everywhere, and you'll notice we're not putting any pressure whatsoever on the towel.
And because we just rinseless washed, there's so much lubrication on this paint that one spray of this iron remover, you put your towel where you spray, and it just suds right up.
Yeah, and the suds are actually in part from the iron, or from the rinseless wash, but mostly actually from the iron remover. So the iron remover, not only do we have an iron remover, or better term, a rust converter, but we also have surfactants in there that give us the lubrication that we need and want, and also better cleaning ability.
And you just use the towel until you're not hearing loud and until it feels smooth under the towel.
Yeah, no pressure on the towel whatsoever.
Nope, when in doubt, flip your towel. So I do one panel per side of my towel, and then I'll flip to a new side of my towel.
And we want to do the windows on the vehicle, all of them, makes them easier to clean in the future. And you don't need to extend your time with the towel, because basically as soon as you feel that the surface is smooth, you're done. You don't need to keep going over and over and over again.
One question folks might have, Ivan, as they're using the decontamination towel paired with iron remover is, can I use this on every exterior surface?
Yes, you can. Well, you may not want to use it on the tires, but every other exterior surface you can. And if you have matte paint, you can use it there. And there's a bit of contamination here that's a little more embedded, so I'm going to let it sit. I'm going to let the iron remover do its thing. And I'm going to come back to that section later.
I like the suds because it tells me where I've been as well.
Yeah.
One spray on the paint, one on my towel, rinseless wash on the surface, lots of lubrication, and a lot of efficiency.
Now, those of you that have used iron removers before, you know how lovely the fragrance is. Being a little sarcastic there. By using so little of it like we're doing here, we're going to be using less than 1 ounce on this whole vehicle. That means there's not a lot in the air to create those odors that everyone just loves from iron remover. And in a previous video, we asked, does anybody actually like the smell of iron remover? And amazingly in the comments, 4 or 5 people answered yes.
I don't hate it for some reason, Ivan. I don't love it, but I don't hate it.
No, it has its own charm, we'll put it that way.
It sends a signal to my brain that I'm doing something to the paint that's gonna lead to a satisfying result.
Exactly.
Don't forget this front bumper, some of the lights, emblems, they can get bug guts on there.
Yeah, and you know, this front bumper has seen a better day. Obviously, some of the people that have rented this car over its life have followed very closely other vehicles. Now I'm going to go back to that one spot that I noticed there was a heavier amount of contamination right behind the front wheel. I've let the iron remover dwell, do its thing, so I'll put a little more on the surface, and yeah, pretty much smooth already.
I'm redunking my towel after using it on about 4 panels. Just the rear, I didn't touch yet, Ivan.
There we go. We have all that contamination off. Repetition is a beautiful thing when it comes to decontamination.
No pressure, just give it more repetition than maybe you were expecting, and it'll
Yeah.
get at the most stubborn stuff.
And also a little more time. I let that dwell, and guess what? Came back to it, and it was almost as if there was no contamination there at all. While you're at it, don't forget to put a bit of iron remover on that license plate. It never gets a lot of love. And in doing so, well, that can cause a problem. Next, we get to rinse again. Ooh, Nick, it looks like the water on the roof is wanting to break up a little bit.
Yeah?
It's no longer that flat lake. There's a few little ripples in the lake now. Quick pass with the squeegee, because nobody likes walking on a wet floor. Or at least I don't. I don't think you do as well, Nick.
No.
And while Nick is doing that, I'm going to start applying the water spot remover. We know for a fact this vehicle has water spots, so.
And Ivan, water spot remover is more than just water spot remover.
Right, it's a mineral remover is actually a better way of describing it. And it's actually going to bring, if everything is right in the world, a bit of beating and sheeting back to this paint. Because paint by itself, when it doesn't have anything on it, it has no wax, it has no sealants, no ceramic coating. If it's clean, it will bead. And that's what we're going to get here. Now, I'm being quite liberal with the water spot remover because we know there's a lot of encrusted minerals on this car. We're going to take one of our plush buffing towels, nice red color towel, and we're going to agitate the water spot remover. But we're not going to dunk the towel multiple times. We're just using the towel to agitate the water spot remover. There's rinseless wash in the towel. It's going to go around and just make sure that it's everywhere. Because we sprayed it on, and spraying isn't an exact science in this case. So this gets to spread it out, agitates just a little bit. There's lubrication on the towel.
And I'm not using any pressure. There shouldn't be anything left on the paint to drive in by accident.
No, exactly.
You know, with bad pressure points. But just think about like spreading the water spot remover, maybe.
Yeah, and we're not flipping the towel. We don't want to absorb any of the water spot remover off the vehicle. And as soon as we start rinsing, you might actually see some beading come back. And at this point, this vehicle will be clean, ready to polish, and ready to ceramic coat. How goes it, Nick?
Going well. I'm just trying to kind of efficiently like do half the car, right? You always talk about being meticulous. So I'm thinking, let me just get half the car.
Yeah, and
that way I know where I've been.
Yeah, and I'll rinse off this half as you do the other.
Perfect. All right. So I've got that half. I didn't do the hatch.
Yeah.
I'll hit the front here.
And yes, the water is no longer just sitting on the surface.
Really?
Some of it is going down. Not all, but it's a lot better than it was. The whole hood and front end is done, Nick?
The whole hood and front end. I'm just handling the roof now. And it's kind of a redundancy thing too. You sprayed it all there on, but just by agitating and spreading it, we're making sure that it's getting a chance to do what it's meant to do.
Exactly. In the water spot remover, like the iron remover, we want a good amount of water to rinse it away, flush it off the surface. And that's what I'm doing here. You got the windshield all done?
All done, yep.
And the roof as well?
The roof is all done.
Okay, very good. This is one of the things, especially the water spot remover, we do not want you doing in direct sunlight. If you do, you're going to want to work in small sections and be very, very careful. You don't want it drying on the surface. Not that it's going to damage the surface, but it's going to be very difficult to remove if it is dried on there. You have to re-wet it, agitate it, and do all sorts of fun stuff. You're good to go?
All agitated in, you can rinse off. Ivan, just from where I'm standing, I see a lot of water behavior, like water beading coming off the panels. It's so amazing what water spot remover can do to your paint.
Yeah, the minerals are really something that clogs paint, especially if you're in a northern climate that they use salt on the roads. This little car started its life in Arizona. Well, it started its life in Korea, actually, but started its career in Arizona. and now it's moved to Omaha. So we're now done with any rinsing. We're gonna let it air dry just a little bit. We don't want the surface to dry, but the more time we take before it actually dries, the easier it's gonna be for us. So I have time to coil up the hose. Nick has time to squeegee the floor, and taking a few minutes to get these things up and make your work environment a lot easier to work with is a good thing.
Oh yeah.
And while Nick is using a squeegee, I feel like I'm wrestling a wild anaconda here. And those of you that are of my age and maybe a little more or a little less, there's an iconic building in Omaha that as kids we saw frequently. And we drove by it today going for lunch, and that is the Mutual of Omaha. We all know Mr. Marlon Perkins, the host of the Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, from my age, not for Nick's. But do you remember the name of the guest host that was the one out in the field wrestling the wild anaconda, hunting the lion? Put it in the comments below if you know his name.
Ivan, you're always up to something, inventing some method or surprising me with your knowledge, and lately you've been loving this 2-towel method, the squeegee towel. Talk about how we use it, why it works.
Well, on this vehicle, we can't use a drying aid. Well, we can if we want to, but it's counterproductive. And by drying aid, normally we'll use ceramic gloss or quick beads, and that's gonna leave a ceramic protection behind. This vehicle we're doing the stack on, so we don't want to leave anything on the paint. We spent all this time to make sure that the paint has nothing on it. We're not gonna put anything back on. That's where your drying towel may not perform as well on a vehicle that has no drying aid. That's where the second towel comes in. What this towel is doing is it's acting like a squeegee almost and picking up the majority of the water. We're not getting the vehicle dry with this towel. All we're doing is getting a lot of the water off and then coming back with our drying towel to do the final drying. It saves you time, saves your towels, and gives something for your other hand to do.
Works pretty good. It's all humid in the shop now.
Yeah, well, we have, put out a number of gallons of water here. And for once, that humidity is actually doing something good for us. It seems to be making it seem warmer in here.
Indeed it does.
It's cold, humid, and blustery outside. Not an idyllic winter day, we'll put it that way. More of a winter day. And as we're drying this paint, I'm seeing a lot of missed opportunities to like this paint. It hasn't been exactly well maintained.
No, it gets car washed probably every day, right?
Yeah,
rental
exactly.
Car. Or was a rental car.
Yeah, and rental cars, they maintain them mechanically well normally, but aesthetically, they could do better.
There's probably no economic incentive for it, right?
No, the vehicle has to be clean. It doesn't have to be spotless. And I can't tell you how many rental cars I've washed and put sealants on just because I was going to be driving them, especially the windshield. Because once you're used to having a ceramic coating on your windshield, and then you get into a car without it, it's like night and day. It's dangerous to drive almost.
It is rewarding and satisfying just to make it this far. It already looks good, but the polishing step is going to elevate that considerably.
Exactly.
Let us know in the comments below if you've made it this far. Have you ever polished paint before? If so, what was the first vehicle that you polished? I believe mine was my own Subaru.
Mine was a 1980 Lincoln Town Car.
What color?
Burgundy. Now, the first towel that we use as sort of a squeegee, it gets wet. You're wanting to wring it out once in a while. When it does get wet, this is a small car, so there's not a lot there, but
it's not too bad.
no.
Well, there's still some nasty water spots on the glass.
Yeah, but now we know we've removed the minerals, meaning that when we go to polish, we'll be removing the etching from the water spots. Because what you're seeing now is just etching. It's not actually minerals. So we have no interference now for the polish. Now at this point, if you were satisfied with the paint on this vehicle, you could ceramic coat it if you wanted to.
Ivan, this paint looks trashed.
It is, but in the next video, we're gonna untrash this paint. We're gonna make it shine, we're gonna make it glossy, and we're gonna protect it with the DIY detail stack.
8-year, then 3-year, We can't wait for you to see it. In fact, if you can't wait to see it, head on over right now.